Will not. Ms. Bachmann.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. I have a series of questions, and if you could just give very brief, short answers, I would appreciate it. Does the NSA spy on the American people?
No, Congressman, not without a warrant or under a warrant program or a FISA program.
Okay, and does the NSA listen to foreigners if there's an intelligence-based interest?
Yes.
And do foreigners have American constitutional rights?
Could you say that again?
Do foreigners have the rights of an American citizen?
No, they don't.
Would it be accurate to say that Mr. Snowden was, in an analogy, acting as a research librarian who unlawfully took the research books home for the night? Is that kind of what he did?
And longer.
And longer. Did Mr. Snowden violate his constitutional oath by revealing, to the detriment of United States national security interests, classified information?
He did.
Were Mr. Snowden's actions illegal?
They were.
Were Mr. Snowden's actions unconstitutional?
They were.
Did Mr. Snowden put at risk America's national security interests?
They did.
Did Mr. Snowden's illegal, unconstitutional revelations help the terrorists who seek to kill Americans?
I believe they will.
It was recently...
I would say they have and they will.
It was recently stated by a leader in Europe that, quote, spying between friends, that's just not done. Is it your experience that allies of the United States have spied on the United States historically?
Yes.
Or even as we speak?
Yes.
So we would have reason to believe that whether it is Germany or France or Spain or Brazil or any of our other wonderful allies, it's reasonable to believe that they either historically have or currently are listening to the United States or our leaders.
That's correct.
Is it common for those who are not United States allies, whether it would be Russia or China or Iran, would it be reasonable to conclude that they listen to the United States or our leaders?
It's reasonable to assume that, yes.
And has that information been made available to the White House?
Yes.
Has it been made available to the President of the United States? And does the White House get national security briefings from the NSA?
Well, the NSA is one of the contributors to the briefings that are given in the White House.
And how often are those briefings given to the White House?
Virtually daily.
Security? Virtually daily. How often, if it's given daily, how often does the President of the United States attend those briefings? If you could speak into the microphone.
He is briefed either here or if he's on the road.
Does the President, how often does the President attend those briefings? Does he receive them personally?
Quite frequently.
In his absence, which members receive those briefings?
Well, the rest of the national security apparatus, the Vice President and the cabinet heads all receive variations, but essentially the same briefing.
And so would the National Security Council staffer at the White House who deals with the country in question be made aware if there was any listening going on? Would the National Security Council staffer at the White House who deals with the country in question be aware if there's anything going on?
As a general response, yes. It depends on the area of responsibility in the NSS.
And if the United States was doing any listening of key foreign leaders, we learned this week that apparently was news to the White House. Would that information have been made available to the White House in their briefing books?
As I explained earlier, on the way the National Intelligence Priority Framework works and the way the broad national tasking is implemented or executed throughout each of the collection disciplines, it's unlikely and unrealistic to think that every last detail about how a particular piece of information is gleaned through all the collection apparatus we have, be it HUMINT, imagery, or SIGINT, it would not necessarily know that level of detail.
And so let me ask you this. Was the leaker in question, Ed Snowden, was he a traitor?
You're asking me?
Yes.
Absolutely.
And would that be the opinion also of General Alexander? Is that your opinion?
Absolutely.
Mr. Inglis?
Yes, ma'am.
And Mr. Cole?
He's certainly been charged, not with treason, but he's been charged with certainly leaking and compromising the integrity of our intelligence system.
In your opinion, Mr. Cole, would be considered a traitor to the United States?
This is a matter that's
just your
been
personal
indicted.
opinion. Just your personal opinion.
Unfortunately, as a Justice Department official where there's a case involved, it's difficult for me to do that under the rules of professional responsibility.
Does the White House consider Mr. Snowden a traitor?
I think best to ask, and when you say the White House collectively, I think most people feel that he's done a great disservice to the country.
I yield back.
Could I just make sure? I want to make sure that I answered all the Snowden things because I answered them really quick. If I could just ask the Deputy Attorney General just to make sure that I hit those all right, because you asked some constitutional questions,
yes.
And I'm not a lawyer, so I just want to make sure that I got that correct, please.
I think the only one that I might add to is certain foreigners who are in the United States do have certain constitutional rights. That would be the only amendment I'd make to what General Alexander said.
And perhaps you could elaborate back for the committee at some point what those instances would be and what rights they would have.
It could be, we can get some information to you in that regard.
And I yield back. Thank you, Mr. Chair.